home versus Linfield on Wednesday. On February 2nd, there's going to be an anti-bullying meeting for the parents, and community service was due for NHS. And then my student work. It's a project I got for health, and we have to pretend as we owned a restaurant and make a meal for our family or friends, and we have to be aware of nutrition facts, like how much of the calories, carbohydrates, like protein, fat, sodium, is in each serving. We have to think of a restaurant name. We have to have different variety in our foods, and we have to also have a review written by either like our parents or our friends who ate our meal. And if you pass it in early, we get extra points called like the early bird special. And that is my project for health.
Have you done any work on this yet?
Yeah, I actually made the dinner.
What did you make?
I made shrimp scampi with
Really?
Fruit salad, and I made like this like Heath bar,
And what was your restaurant name?
Kristen's Culinary Creations.
Ooh,
All with a K?
nice.
Yes.
Love the coffee.
Now, did you have to tally up the calories and
Yeah.
fat and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, check and make sure. And I made a chart of everything.
That's pretty awesome.
I like some shrimp scampi.
What'd you have with the scampi? Anything good?
I had noodles, and then I had to make like vegetables. So I made some like carrots, and I had broccoli. I had squash. I just made like a lot of different, and then had like people choose what they wanted.
That's good. Any questions? Thanks, Kristen.
Nice job. Stay warm. Good doing it.
Be watching for that no school announcement on Wednesday night, right?
No, on Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
Not Wednesday night.
Wednesday morning.
We talked about that today.
Don't let these kids know they haven't got school the night before.
I think Kathy, would you say you got an email from
Oh.
from a student the night before asking you to let that student know that if you called off school to send that student an email? I thought that was pretty showed a lot of initiative on that student's part.
Me too.
Very,
Did you send him an email?
very good.
I get up at 4:15 in the morning to make the call.
Oh.
Yes, this one we weren't able to do the day before.
No, because
Yeah.
we live in New England.
Right.
And I would hate to call it off
And then
if it's
have
not
no-
a certainty.
And at
Right.
1 o'clock was a beautiful day.
Yes, it was.
It was.
I was here about 1:30.
But
and
it
the
was
roads were
pretty
beautiful.
rough. It was pretty rough
was.
for 4 or 5 hours
In the morning.
that morning.
When the
yeah.
students have to drive and the
Right.
faculty comes
Yeah.
from far away,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was difficult.
yeah. Troughton didn't care, but you do.
I do care. I care about the safety.
David would be out running at 5:30, and then he'd say, "This is beautiful. We can have school." Okay, next we have continued business. We have an update, MSBA SSBC update.
Yes. We have an OPM, Owner's Project Manager contract with PMA Construction. It has been signed. So the RFS for the designer was listed in the Central Register on January 12th, and the deadline for applications is February 1st. At least 21 forms have responded. I'm sure there are more than that by now.
Wow, that's amazing.
North Reading is on the MSBA Designer Selection Committee agenda for March 1st. And the way that the designer is selected is very different from the way that the OPM was selected. The MSBA plays a lead role. There are 3 representatives that will be selected from the SSBC to go to the MSBA for this process, to take a look at the applications and arrive at the top 3 designers. And then we, as an SSBC, have to decide if the top designer will be moved forward or if there will be an interview process of the top 3 candidates. And that decision needs to be made at the next SSBC, scheduled for tomorrow night at 6:30 right here.
Who picks the 3, the MSBA or we do?
No,
No.
our
We
SSBC
have to-
selects.
So we pick the 3, and then if we want, we can let the MSBA pick the 1, or we can interview the 3.
Oh, no. The representatives from the secondary school building committee will be the ones that go in to meet with the
Right, but-
MSBA.
But the MSBA then makes the decision, or?
I think they do.
It's in collaboration
With
with
us.
the
Yeah,
representatives and the MSBA panel.
Okay,
And
which is different than the OPM, which we made the decision on our own and then had to get approval.
That's correct.
Although
Afterwards.
representatives were here.
Right,
during
they
the
were here
OPM
during
you know, yeah, process.
What I've been
yeah.
told is that there is a rating system that the selection group will go through, and then those top 3 candidates emerge based on very, I would say, specific criteria. So it'll be interesting to see what the SSBC says tomorrow night as far as the process.
And we have 3 positions on that designer selection committee, and there are, I don't know, it's 12 or 15
10 or 11, I think,
something.
yeah.
There's a large number
Yeah.
on that. So we're a minority.
So if,
Right.
if we get a designer on March 1st, then once the contract is signed, we then move forward with the feasibility study.
Yes, and I've been in contact with the OPM, who assures me that we're on schedule with the original timeline that we set forth, taking us to a potential vote at town meeting, a ballot vote in November.
That's good. Very good.
This is exciting.
Yes, I'm so happy there's an OPM on board.
That's very good. And then we have one other issue we have to deal with. We, on December 6th, voted as a committee to refresh the middle school statement of interest. But at that time, we did not read into the minutes the official wording that has to be in the minutes. So I just want to read that tonight so everybody knows what is in the minutes from that night. It basically says statement of interest. It doesn't basically say, it does say statement of interest. Having convened an open meeting on December 6, 2010, the School Committee of North Reading, in accordance with its charter and bylaws, has voted to authorize the Superintendent of Schools to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the Statement of Interest for North Reading Middle School, located at 19 Sherman Road, North Reading, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority category for which North Reading may be invited to apply to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. The following priorities have been included in the Statement of Interest for North Reading Middle School. Replacement or renovation of a building which is structurally unsound or otherwise in a condition seriously jeopardizing the health and safety of school students where no alternative exists. Elimination of existing severe overcrowding. Prevention of severe overcrowding expected to result from increased enrollments. Replacement, renovation, and modernization of the heating system in a schoolhouse to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs. And replacement of or addition to obsolete buildings in order to provide a full range of programs consistent with state and approved local requirements. And hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the town of North Reading to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. And those are the words as dictated by the MSBA. So I just wanted to let you know that those will be in the minutes from that meeting. Okay?
And the middle school SOI has been submitted.
Right.
The deadline is this Wednesday. So it was submitted last week, both electronically, and I took the packet to the post office on Friday, overnighted it, so we're all set.
Okay.
Kathy, that SSBC meeting's Tuesday the 25th, right? It's tomorrow,
Yeah,
right?
you said
I'm
21st.
sorry, the
It's tomorrow,
25th,
right?
yes, it is.
It's tomorrow?
It is tomorrow, not the 26th, the 25th.
So you can just stay here. We'll make sure we make this athletic subcommittee last.
Yeah,
right
we'll have something
after
to
that,
do,
yeah.
we'll hang around and,
Next, we have fiscal year 2012 budget. Carl?
Yes, thanks. Begin by saying that we're all on track in the development of the FY12 preliminary budget. It'll be distributed to you at your next meeting, February 14th, 3 weeks from tonight.
Valentine's Day.
We've worked with all of the groups that we generally work with to assemble the numbers, and we're using estimates. Remember, for all employee groups other than teachers, we have to estimate what the salary increases will be because we don't have collective bargaining rates in place. So given the direction the committee has given us, we'll create a salary pool which will be our best estimate for those costs. So that will be coming out on the 14th. At about the same time, the town's budget will be coming out as well. And I also thought it was appropriate to speak about or allude to Governor Patrick's state budget that will be released next week. There are 3 primary points that he has announced that we will see. First, he's announcing a small increase in Chapter 70, which is, of course, state aid to education. I would consider that good news because we did not know what to expect there. In fact, we are budgeting on the town side a decrease in Chapter 70. So if that holds up, that will be some good news for North Reading. Second major point he made was that he does intend to file legislation or file a budget that will have a 7% decrease in local aid.
That's kills you.
Yeah.
So that's important to note. But at the same time, he's filing legislation which will lead to a process whereby cities and towns may have the ability to require that public employees be covered by GIC, the Group Insurance Commission. And he's saying that if that is to take place, towns and cities will more than make up for that 7% local aid decrease. And I noticed already that the House had signed on to that plan, and the Senate hasn't commented on it. So that's several $100,000 potential savings for North Reading.
Yeah, I think the sticking point there is gonna be whether it's forced to the GIC or whether it's a plan design
Yes.
program where each town can design its own plan and save money that way. Of course, the other sticking point is gonna be taking it out of collective bargaining, which is the big issue, which only the governor and the legislature can do at this point. I do think, as Jerry mentioned, that to me on the side here, by cutting the 7%, it doesn't defeat increasing Chapter 70, but it does have an impact because it depends on how your town
It's one pot.
splits the
I mean,
funds.
no
It's
matter how
one
you
pot
cut
of
it.
money, so.
So in a sense, it's a cut to
Well,
education.
We may
I
not,
see it.
we may not get an increase, even though he increased all of Chapter 70, we may not get an
We may
increase
see
at Town of
nothing.
North Reading. We may see
So
nothing,
all
so
I
we
see
don't
is a
know.
7% cut.
Right, that's all we
Yeah.
know for sure, is that our other local aid is gonna be cut 7%. What is that called? Not unlimited, it's called, what kind-
Unrestricted?
unrestricted local aid, right.
Yes.
Although when you tell, we're very early in the process, we can't make any definitive statements here, but the 7% decrease in local aid is less than what we had budgeted in case Chapter 70 had been reduced.
Right. Unrestricted local aid is a lot less than Chapter
Yes,
70.
so it's, I believe that the revenue projections we were using assumed a $400,000 decrease in Chapter 70.
Right.
So even that 7% cut is far less than
Right.
$400,000. But again, this is a little bit of speculation at this point.
Any questions or comments for Carl?
What were we looking for in the unrestricted as a cut?
I believe it was 4% across the board. My
Mhm.
recollection
Right,
was that it was
4% across the
4%
board,
across
yeah.
the board, yeah. So Cliff, I'm sorry, I can't tell you what that amounts to, but a lot less than $400,000.
That would work in our favor as a
Right.
town.
We're talking about 160,000.
Well, the unrestricted local aid is, what, $1 million?
No, it's more than that.
Is it more than $1 million?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay.